Getting close.
Okay. I'm gonna have to write little notes on what. Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. This is it's the red. I'm red. Testing. Can you hear me now? Test.
Closer.
Do you need it closer? Is that better?
Or no?
That better? Okay, we will call the meeting to order. It's a regular meeting, established as a work session to review the budget for the 24-25 school year. Roll call.
Trustee Earps. Trustee Saint Germain.
Here.
Trustee Craig.
Here.
Trustee Daniels.
Here.
Trustee Kepke.
Here. Okay, the first action item that we have is unfortunately, we have a resignation from the Zone 3 trustee.
Sorry. I've got her sheet. So.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're still in work session.
It's different here.
We're in the work session. Are you too far down?
Oh, I am. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we'll do that at
Okay,
6.
so can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda for the work session as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion?
Do we need to amend it? Okay.
Hmm.
So I believe it needs to be amended to reflect Teresa Kepke as Zone 1 trustee.
Oh, yeah.
So
Good
go
catch.
back to Craig to amend.
Yep.
So I'll make an amendment to my
Oh, yeah.
approval of the
It was.
agenda with the change of. Are we doing that in real time?
Yeah, he's typing it right now. That's working document.
Zone 1 being Teresa Kepke, not Greg Giroux.
Second.
I'll second that.
Discussion.
Any discussion? Further discussion? No,
Not on that.
so then all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Okay,
And motion carried.
motion carries. Okay, so now we're ready to proceed to our budget work session.
Yep.
All right, Brittany and Farrah are the stars of the show, right? So
Yeah. Oh, perfect. Yep. I was just zooming in a bunch on my screen. Good timing.
No, I much better.
So I did have the pleasure of meeting with the girls and Dr. Garrett on Wednesday to get a little heads up on the budget and to try to help myself understand more. So just FYI. And as a result of that, I did call the county to ask about the downward trend.
And I actually have an answer for you on that as well.
Okay, cool, because they didn't really know other than that there's an upward trend in the state revenue, so I'm glad you did.
What that on that 4-year summary there,
Mhm.
those 2 years previous say actual. And then the 23-24 and 24-25 are your budgeted and then proposed budgets. So that's why those are lower, because we budget just like our levy and stuff. And those other ones were the actuals of what had come in, which, so hopefully they're always gonna be higher.
Okay,
That makes sense.
good, that's good, because they did not really have an answer. So. Nice. Okay.
That's just a loud vibrate.
So, you want us to address your questions first that
No, I think
have
if
an
you,
Email or,
I think if you overview the process for others and then all the questions can flow. Makes sense?
so, if you went to that 4-year
The
summary
second
that
to the back
published
page.
in the paper.
Yep.
That kind of. So it goes through, you have your general M and O fund, and then to the right, all other funds. Our general M and O fund is our general fund balance. That revenue comes from our levy, and taxes and the state funding. The all other funds would be, like our grants and anything that is in our general fund. So you can see the local tax, other local, the state revenue and everything there. Down below, you have your salaries, benefits, purchase services, supplies, all of our expenses there. So you can see everything has to balance out with each other. So our revenue and our expenses have to zero out. So there are some transfers. I think there was an email sent to you guys previously that you guys have received explaining what those transfers were.
Yep.
So to make that all come out to zero. So any questions on revenue side or any of that?
I still find it all very confusing and, you know, so.
The format
there's-
alone is quite confusing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The details of where, what comes from,
Mhm.
So we have a shortfall.
Mhm.
that we're
Yep, so
gonna-
transferring from our forest fund.
Forest
reserves
funds.
In order to. bring that
Okay.
whole- So,
I mean, because we kind of went over that with Chris and I, but I don't know
Yeah,
if anybody else, you know,
yeah,
so that's the 675.
yes.
This
Mhm.
for you-
So
for you
Mhm.
guys.
it was 630, which is being transferred from the forest funds. 45,000 of that is our admin fee that we collect back from IDYCA. So I'm transferring from our IDYCA account back into the general fund.
Oh, okay.
and there's like 1.8 million in that forest fund.
No, the forest one has
It-
3.2.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, at the
okay.
beginning of our
Okay.
fiscal year, last year, yes.
Before the
Okay.
transfer.
Yes, that was,
So minus 6, so
Yeah.
2 and some change, 2.5.
what you're thinking of, Teresa, is that proprietary fund we were talking about with the
Okay.
insurance side of
Okay,
things.
okay,
So
got
that
it,
was
yeah.
that was a piece that we had talked about as well. So on the insurance side of things, we saw 100 and if we kept things the same, obviously negotiations are not over. Keep things the same, there was about $166,000 increase in premiums. That's just keeping everything plain. And then we were about $160,000 short from the state on our insurance dollars this year because they cut us back because they cut a deal with their insurance on all the state funds, and that's what they pulled across to this. They lowered everybody's premiums is what happened for them, and then they just cut back what they were giving us as well. So they lowered that as well. So it's about a $320,000 difference in just that alone.
So that's something that we probably won't see next year, that big of a difference.
Most of the time, we haven't been seeing that from the state. This is pretty uncommon to see this from the state. As far as our increase in premiums, they continue,
Right,
those
right,
fluctuate,
yeah.
obviously. So,
I mean, because obviously the concern would be if we're pulling
Mhm.
100,000 and we only have 3 million.
Right.
How many years it would
Exactly.
be in a deficit that we need to,
so when you look at the big picture of things, that 300,000, 320, take that off the 630 or whatever. So you're remaining about 300,000. Generally, annually, we pull about 300,000 from virtual FTEs, and we discussed that a little bit as well.
yeah.
Those virtual FTEs are those FTEs or IDLA classes, those type of things that they accrue that we can pull virtual FTEs back into our general fund as well. So and that amounts to about 300,000 a year.
Okay,
Those are generated from the IDYCA. So if something comes up with the IDYCA not being a part of our district, we would lose that revenue. And that's not guaranteed. It's based on the number of students and classes, but it always comes out that we have sufficient numbers. So when you look at that, it probably is a wash, but it's not like consistent revenue every year.
Right.
If that makes sense.
When was the last time we went to negotiations with the actual insurance companies where like we had a third party try to negotiate rates for
So
us?
what I learned from the insurance, I had a great conversation. Farrah hooked me up with Nancy. She's super cool. is that we are part of a trust.
Okay.
So there's 100 school districts within this insurance trust. And we are basically in a pool of other school districts. So they are able to buy down and they have plan offerings, but and the plan offerings are presented, and that's what's here, right? So we have those plan offerings
Mhm.
here. And then how do we select? I don't remember that we talked about how we select the plan.
Well, this is part of negotiations. Nancy, I think she's great at modeling the scenarios. And so, and I think she's worked with us long enough that she just kind of knows where we might be headed or what we're thinking. But there's really an infinite combination of
Well, that's what I was-
possibilities on how we can, what we can look at with insurance. So she just kind of gets us started. And she also has joined us for negotiations meetings too, to present, because as you look through that, this is an overview, but it's pretty involved, and she's great at explaining it too. As far as the different scenarios, and then what would be the, typically we're looking for an expense reduction.
Right.
And she's great at helping everyone understand that. So that's been the process, is just with the negotiations group.
Okay, and she did offer that. And
I guess where I'm going, who on the trust makes the decision? So we've been Blue Cross Idaho for all the records I have on here. So we were Regents, negotiated to Blue Cross of Idaho to save money. Worked out for a few years, had to go back to Regents. This is a night force to really get us competing. So it was a pain in the butt to make those changes, but 3 times we've went from Blue Cross of Idaho to Regents back. So I didn't know who on the trust. Probably we don't have much to say on that part of it, or we do.
So there's 2 pieces to that. The Idaho School District Trust, which is a group and organization that manages only the school district insurance.
Okay.
So it's not tied with the state insurance. It's just, it's all school districts only school. And then in order for them to be an independent entity, they have to have a board that helps govern them, works with them. And that's that Idaho School District Council, which I'm currently on.
Okay.
And what happens is we go through a bunch of actuaries. So the Blue Cross does all the actuaries, and they look at all of the losses and everything you do, and then they come up with a rate that will fit them. And then what happens is the Idaho School District Trust will propose that, and they'll pass it, but then it doesn't ever get approved until the school district council approves it. We don't have much choice on it. Obviously, they're doing all the work. We've actually negotiated that down some from what they actually proposed. Every year we've had those discussions about the retiree pieces and all those, and bringing that down to where it is currently. So that decision comes from those 2 boards, and then it gets sent out to the school districts as well. And then the Murray, now Acrisure, takes those numbers and tries to work specifically within our actual plans to see what actual numbers those are.
I guess
That-
where
that
I'm
makes
going,
sense.
when was the last time we went out to like a Regents to compete against the
Yeah.
Blue Cross of Idaho? Because we do this every year,
Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah.
But we actually had to go to a competitor
Right,
to get them starting to compete, because they would, well, we're going up 12%. Okay, we negotiate 6.
right,
And that went on for 3 to 4
Right.
years. And then we said, okay, we're going to go submit with the
right.
other company that then all of a sudden brought our rates way back down. And then all of a sudden they wanted our business
Right.
back. So I mean, that's the part, instead
Sure.
of just negotiate with Blue Cross of Idaho,
Mhm.
who do you talk to get
Right.
that process?
So once the state, 2 years ago, they started putting in funding to say we could move over to the state plan. So with our particular plan, it was not feasible. It was going to cost us more money to do that as far as the benefits were poorer, and it was going to cost us more dollars to do that. So we looked at that a couple times, and then, in the superintendent group and everything else, everybody was looking around, and nobody could compete with what we had on that. The other kicker on that is if you leave the council, the school district trust, you can't, well, if you come back in, they charge you to come back in. And it's usually 5% for the first year to come back in if you ever have to come back. And it's pretty steep. So you have to be, if you're out more than 5 years, and there's a kind of a graduated scale, then you have to pay to come back in. So most people don't leave and then come back. It's kind of an incentive to stay. But I see what you're saying. So putting it out there to other companies, we haven't done that for a few years.
Okay.
So yeah, that's probably the story.
And like I said,
Yeah.
when it's staying
They
flatter.
just went to Regents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, and then that's exactly what
Yes.
we've changed in 16 years
Yep.
more times. It's been with those 2 main players, but we
Right.
went back and
Right.
forth, and it's a lot of work because you have to resubmit everything. Where these guys, they come at 12, you negotiate to 6, you're happy, life's good.
Mhm.
but you can only do that so long, is where I'm
Right.
saying. If it goes up 200,000 again next year, you know,
Mhm.
that's where.
Yeah, we were 9 last year, from what I remember in the slide that Nancy showed me, and we are at 7 this year.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then we also learned in our conversation Wednesday that we have a fund called the proprietary.
Yeah.
And that is, so I'm not real smart at this, but,
Doing fine.
so we pay a premium, and then there is a kickback because we pay down from a high deductible, the difference between what the employee, when the employee reaches 500, then we assume the responsibility of that 501 up to $5,000 for
Correct.
that higher deductible plan. And so those dollars then come back to us.
If they're not
And
used.
right, and they're not used.
Yes.
And we have a standing, as of last year, we had 1.8 million.
Okay.
And the risk level, if 100% of all of our employees reach
Utilization,
that
yeah.
500, then we need to maintain $1 million.
Yeah, it's close to 1 million. So,
Mm-hmm.
and every year that changes based on utilization. And what they do is project the trends.
Right.
So as those trends are going up, we have to project higher, obviously. And that's where it's nearly, it's 990 or 980 something or whatever it was, but nearly $1 million.
Yeah.
So as we build that up over time, that proprietary fund, you try to keep that balance. So that's why we're able, and the board has to make that decision to pull that money out to cover those premiums. And again, it comes down to negotiations. If we keep the same plan, I mean, it's pretty easy call that's money that's available to do that. So.
Good.
So this is, I mean, I totally missed this when we were going over the audit in the
Mhm.
past.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know,
and it
that's
came up.
huge.
So that.
Yeah.
Because if that could help a
It's
couple of
like
years,
a
Yep.
slush fund almost.
as long as we keep it above that.
And we
limit.
did this about 5 or 6 years ago. I believe we pulled about, I want to say, and I have to look back, but I think it was about 80,000 to cover that increase in the premium at that time to keep to maintain the same plan.
Okay.
So we've done that in the past. But as that builds, obviously, as you know, you look at it percentage wise, more and more dollars come in, but also if we're not utilizing, really where that started building a little bit more was obviously during the COVID times when people weren't utilizing a lot. So that built that. So we can't always guarantee that's going to be an increase.
And the advantage of using our forest funds over drawing from this to cover the $160-some thousand difference this year is that this is a little bit solid, and the forest funds, we have a higher balance. What was the decision?
So
there?
with the forest funds, I can move those because they're one of our fund balances. This one takes the board directive.
Oh, okay.
Okay, good to know.
So it's in proposing the budget, instead of dealing with us to use proprietary.
Yes, so
You
if you
can
wanted
use
to
the
do that,
forest
talk to
funds, so
our-
you just did it.
Yeah.
Right, and I talked to our auditor about how we could utilize those funds, and one of his recommendations was if we're gonna do this to help pay down our Blue Cross premium, as you guys said, X amount of dollars.
Yep.
And I can actually just use that to pay our bill every month, so it will pull directly out of this and go straight back into insurance, so there's no moving it back to general fund and trying to
Right.
collect it from there, and did it truly go to insurance, we would just write the check directly from this fund to help pay the insurance.
So our budget would still look similar. You see what I'm saying? But over time, your audit at the end, your final budget would look better. Does that make
Because
sense?
we wouldn't pull that expense
Correct.
now. Out of general fund, because
Yes.
we would actually pull it out of this one.
Out of forest.
No,
Out of
out
your-
of this one.
Yeah.
Out
So
of-
let's say we gave them,
Out of that
200,000.
1.8. Yeah.
let's just round numbers. We say, let's do 120,000 a year. She just pulls 10,000 a month right
Yes.
towards that.
Yep.
166 right out of that fund, and
Yep.
then we don't have to pull
Perfect.
that 120 out of the Forest Service. So that's a
Exactly.
really good find.
Yeah.
And that could help for a year or two on the
Yep.
insurance premiums. And that says good on our staff for,
Mhm.
obviously, if we're above where we predicted,
Staying
means
healthy.
people
Mhm.
are staying healthy and
Yep.
doing what they should do.
Yep.
So
Exactly right.
For sure.
good stuff.
Yep.
And part of this shortfall resulted in a staff adjustment and reorganization. So do you want to go over that? So everybody's on the same page there?
Well, and when you say staff adjustment, we basically through attrition is what we didn't backfill certain positions,
Yeah.
but So on the certified side, it's a lot of moving parts, but it ended up being about a reduction from this year to FY 25, about a 2.0 FTE on the certified side. Classified side, I tried to put a number on that, but just in reflecting on the year, there were positions that someone left. We determined we didn't need to backfill. So I don't actually have the solid number on how many classified FTEs were down just because of.
And is this still assuming we're gonna hire all the positions that we've posted for the budget?
So
Or no?
the budget is based on.
Just current head count?
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's a lean budget from
Yes.
the head count
Okay.
perspective.
Because there was a couple years where we had extra because of head count and we knew we weren't gonna find the positions, but now we're back to where we're pretty balanced out.
And you'll
Budget.
see that from last year to,
Yes.
I mean, so last year we, because when the budget was set, we didn't really know the staffing situation for
Yep.
sure. We weren't through negotiations yet, so there were some unknowns. This year, though, we have been looking at the staffing situation for months and, we put in what we wanted to have, but it was just, there's a shortfall this year. And so there was some reallocating. And so we are down, those 2 FTEs on the certified side from the school year 23-24 to what we have in the budget for 24-25. And what we have in the budget for 24-25, we have pretty much all those positions hired at this point. So
Okay.
we know.
The ones like the
those.
part-time counselors and that kind of stuff's already in that.
So
So
this
that's
meeting.
factored in. So we don't have a 1.0 counselor.
Yeah, we got
Which is
2.5.
what we did last year, but we have a 0.5 with.
Or
the
a
two of them.
0.25.
Two
Two quarters, okay.
So there's no salary savings built into the 1.7 for this fiscal year coming up. Meaning all the positions are filled.
You have to add,
As
so
we
just
start.
FYI, you add, so the dotted line here
Mhm.
between M and O and general, you have to add those two together. So the total is over 8,
1.4,
almost 9.
almost 9 what?
So it's the 7.165 plus the 17,
Oh, I got you.
1.78.
Gotcha.
Yeah, those are additive columns.
But but everything's full.
This is, yes, a very realistic staffing.
So that's what's changed, Brian. That's
So
where
there's
I
no
was
salary
confused.
savings.
You're
built
right.
in
In the
there.
last couple of years, we had some of that built in there, remember? But we don't now.
So that leads to my question about that, looking at organizational chart. I looked online and the last org chart was, I think, from 17,
It's a-
18
it's a
or
great
20,
question.
21.
So Skyward does have the ability to generate a org chart, and Russell can chime in at any time, but we haven't utilized the Skyward tool to my knowledge. The one that's on the website, was that kind of more manually then? Oh, you didn't, okay. Anyway, we have a timekeeping tool that requires, that we've been wanting to implement. It requires an org chart in order for the timekeeping to work. So Nicole has started on that, but we haven't fully implemented that yet. But that is a goal that just in utilizing this timekeeping function for some of the groups, we will be able to create that org chart. Right now, Skyward is it's a pretty robust software because it does everything we do. The student management side, it does everything. I've never ever worked with a software like it. We're not fully utilizing all of the capabilities, but I think we're finally getting to that point where we can hopefully do that so that we can have that, historical reporting. Skyward does not give us a good historical reporting tool from the payroll side of things. So I love spreadsheets, so I keep a lot of that in there, but I haven't been here that long either. So we're just, we're kind of missing a historical view of that information. But we're getting there. We have lots of goals and we're making progress.
So the big question in my mind, and I asked it of
Yeah.
Wednesday, but I'll ask it publicly, is has the leadership team been engaged and comfortable with the staffing changes that have been proposed in the budget? So feel free to pipe up.
Engaged, yes. Comfortable, no.
Okay.
I would suspect nobody wants to lose.
No,
positions.
Right.
So what are the big red flags then?
Yeah, and I guess maybe from each area. Jason, you want to start? You got a couple of retirees not backfilling. What's your big red flag this year for your school?
It's staff reductions.
Mhm.
We've reduced, we reduced a custodial position and half of, math position. And then our intervention teachers going back into the classroom. So that's that's the hardest one for us. Now adjust to, hopefully that'll come back in the future. So that was right, a great service for our kids.
The intervention piece.
Intervention. Yeah.
Those are the reductions.
What's a salary ballpark on intervention position? We know.
It's a certified teacher.
It
so
is
just
certified?
depends on their
Okay.
Experience.
Just trying to rough numbers, what we're short that we really can't go without. Thank you, Denise.
Can we, well, wait a minute, can we pick that up amongst other duties as assigned
Yes.
and provide the service?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
What she does, what ours does for us is supervise the title paras, prescribe interventions, help with the testing, coordination of all that data. So not all of that can be done during the school day while teaching full time, but some of those things can be pieced out. I'll have to take on part of it. Counselor will have to take on part of it. Just have to do the best we can. We've done it that way in the past for years. So this was
Sure. How long do we have that position?
just 2 years.
2 years. Okay.
And what, was that paid for with a grant?
Correct.
So that's why that one didn't go.
And is that the Title V that we lost or?
No, it was
Learning loss.
learning loss. Yeah.
And, were there alternative recommendations? Is there a cost benefit to thinking about cutting someplace else to maintain that? Was there that kind of conversation?
When Britton or Farah mentioned earlier that they tried to reduce the positions that were lost or attrition. And so in order to do that, it kind of had to trickle to that position. Like we had a 5th grade position open. So Katrina's able to move into the classroom in 5th grade. There really aren't any other options without, doing a reduction in force or furlough days, things like that.
No, I was just gonna go to Denise next, so we can kind of get a ballpark dollars and cents what we're really, really hurting on.
Well, we had 2 positions through attrition, so
Yep.
2 retirements this year. Half of a title para, half-time custodian. And then our counseling position that's reduced to the 0.5.
Yep.
That was due to the fact that we couldn't find qualified
Sure.
applicants. So we're kind of in the same position as Jason. We're taking our intervention teacher and putting her back in the classroom rather than hiring a kindergarten teacher for enrollment numbers.
Okay.
We're up again.
Yep.
Kindergarten, so we needed to add that. And sort of the same impact on the building, except we have a much larger title program. So we have 6 paras that need to be supervised by a certified teacher. Also prescribes interventions, teaches some of those intervention groups herself, and manages the RTI program for us. So that's going to have to be now managed between Lindsay and I,
Okay.
primarily Lindsay. So we'll just have to do some shifting at the administrative level to make that work.
But so far, both of you were able to shift a current resource, so we didn't have to let anybody go. We just down more work for everybody, pretty much. Okay. So one real key position. 2, if you have the supervisor roles. Okay.
And then we went down a full-time custodian and then a full-time math teacher. And we kind of shimmied around our staff to make that work. And then when the reallocation or reassignments happened in Jason and Denise's building, there had already been a hire in Jason's building for his 5th grade position. So that teacher got reassigned to my building to fill the recent move of Miss Lead and Espers.
Okay.
To fill that seventh reading, so we didn't. We filled that, but we did it through a reassignment,
Yep.
so to speak. So she's assigned to my building, and then we did some restructuring internally with admin staff as far as a teacher going back to the classroom from an admin, but then we expanded the athletic director to a full, so we did some
Shifting there.
in there too. But yeah, so that's kind of how that.
Where's your big weakness for the year in your mind?
The reassignment is interesting for our building. She was hired for for that role to come to mind will be an adjustment because it's a different position than she was originally hired for. I'll work with them, but so that'll be a little bit, and we're obviously going down the math was. We were able to make it work. We're hopeful that we have sustainability there, and then I'm obviously going to go into the year one admin down. I won't have a vice principal at all.
Right.
So we just did some restructuring. That's due to some contracts and some personal stuff that obviously we talked about in open session, but yeah. So there's a couple of things. We have a lot of positives too. We have, our counselor, we have a counselor coming on, full-time AD, there's some of those things, but I'm more from an instructional capacity. We're the thinnest, probably organized, it's ever been as far as teaching staff, of course. Yes.
So did you start out with your down math? So was that a whole?
Yeah, so we went down a full, so when
And-
Jason went half math, I did a full math, so that was through attrition. So when we had a retirement there, we didn't fill that position.
Oh, okay. Okay. And so that's part of that, you're as thin as you've experienced.
And at the admin level, that reallocation of stuff.
Mhm.
I don't know that my school's ever run with so few, but
So I'm glad you mentioned admin. One of the things that I did trying to learn about this negotiation thing that's coming up soon is talk to several folks. And one of the comments that was made to me was that our district is higher in admin staff than the norm. And my first thought was when we had Phil come talk to us and the reality that we are a system of schools instead of a school system. And I mentioned that. So is that truly what puts us above in an admin situation compared to this? Apparently there's a funding mechanism that comes down from the state that includes an admin breakout. And that was my question about the state thing.
Okay, so in the papers that I gave you there, it was probably towards the back, it's the funding formulas from the state. And so those are what I complete with our number of admins and their experience. And so that's how the state formulates how many admin they will fund us for. And so it's probably the last page.
Probably doesn't have anything to do with all our buildings where some places might not have. Try to spread out district as us.
Well, my first question was, is that true?
Yeah.
Are we heavy on the admin side compared to
Funding
others?
wise.
Funding wise, we are. Okay. And is there a way to streamline that piece of our activities?
I think the one factor you need to continue to keep in mind is we're a pretty unique district and how, like you said, our buildings that are outliers and those type of things. And to have that, it's a pretty big strain on the admin that we have currently. To cut that back, I think would be pretty difficult with the number of students and the number of facilities we have. So
And
I
that
see what you're saying, but
part of my question about the org chart is, what does the admin piece look like over here compared to what does it look like here,
Mhm.
where we are now? And how have we grown that? And what has been the student outcomes or the performance base, or, would you consider the intervention specialists that we're losing this year on the ground administrative, or are they instructional? Where's the break?
yeah, so they're instructional.
Okay.
Yeah, so on the administrative side, if you're taking, I mean, a good example is, with Peck and Cavendish being on their own, there's less supervision there from an administrator, not from lack of work, but there's more work here for Denise, for example, and that's difficult for her to be there and manage that a little bit different, a little more specifically. So I think having somebody present is pretty important to, and having those admins in place, and we're running probably pretty thin, I think, on admin as far as principals across our district with the things that are going on.
Okay, I wasn't
'Cause-
thinking about just principals from administration. I was thinking about all of whatever that support staff is,
I was thinking more support staff.
Yeah, or the support staff. And are there ways to potentially streamline that? Or is that, are you, principals, are you thinking, oh my God, what is she doing to us?
Yeah.
And it's okay to say that,
Yeah.
but I'm just kind of curious are we lean and mean or are we fat in some places? And could we use tools like, could we better utilize Skyward to cover some administrative kind of things? Are there tools that we could, is there an AI out there that could take care of some of our?
I'm sure there is. Do we want to do that? That's the question. Yeah.
Just-
Yeah,
I think something that to keep in mind is our needs in our district change every year and even within the year. So when we look at even providing support staff or whatever it might be, that can change based on the needs of our students or the need of a building or need of whatever it might be. There's a whole lot of different things that come into play there, and it's not really static, So we have to evaluate that every year and make those adjustments. So if you had what you're saying, an org chart this year may not be what you would have the year prior, or the year after. It doesn't mean any of them are wrong, just means that the needs are different.
Right.
And that's, yeah. It's a tough one, tough call. It's a tough or question.
Because like Peck had to bring an extra
Right.
para on
yeah.
because of the students. But then what happens if the student numbers happen to drop? Do you have to?
Usually adjust,
Yeah,
but yeah,
you
that's
have
where
to.
you get in
Yeah.
a bind, because the problem is that our numbers are up, but that's also the problem. That's why we're running so lean.
Right.
It's a good problem to have, but
Right.
across the district, our numbers are up. Yet our admin's kind of balanced out now,
Mhm.
If Peck went down, that was different, but Peck went from, even when I started 2 years ago, just 20 some people to almost 40 now, just in Peck. And most of the schools are seeing that kind of growth, but admin hasn't really grown in the last couple of years. We've stayed pretty flat.
Mhm.
And we're asking them to do more this year.
Yeah, it's actually, reductions in some areas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But I
I
think
work
that
on the
org chart,
I
Just
see what
trying
you're
to
saying. No, I
understand.
understand what you're saying, and
I think that's
we can
where,
put one together. for
I think if we had an
2024.
org chart, it'd be huge just to
Maybe additional
understand
staff,
Yeah,
certified versus admin versus non-certified, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Cause I think sometimes I'm like you, I think that's admin when it's actually a certified person or vice versa, and then I cross it over. Cause we weren't even talking principals, but I think that's the majority of admin is principals. IT is IT admin. No, see,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so that's where I would,
Yeah, so.
I would group it all together there, so.
Yeah, I kind of,
Admin is the principal's sped director, superintendent.
yeah, so when I was asking about admin, I'm
Admin.
thinking about that whole non-teaching infrastructure.
Yes.
That supports that.
That's where I thought you were going, and I was,
Yeah.
And
way-
not the IT, because the IT has a specialty, right? And not the maintenance, because maintenance has a specialty, not food service, because food service has, but it's all that other stuff and bodies and people
Yeah.
and are we as efficient and lean and mean as we could be in times of financial starvation? That's the, I mean, that's the point of my question. And how can we help? I mean, short of committing to volunteering 10 hours a week. There just isn't. Okay, so it would be really fun for me to be able to run through an example. And we can do that aside, but I was kind of hoping that this could be up on a screen and we could work through it. Do you want to talk through this?
It takes me weeks and days to complete these.
Okay, yeah.
To honestly, yeah.
So this is a blank form?
Yes, that's the blank form pulled from the state website.
Okay.
So then going through those, I have to complete those with the numbers of all of our employees, where their placements are. And then go back through and figure out our actual salaries that we paid for comparison on that second from the SBA. But yes, this is very,
and this is still the state one that you have no, You can't change anything. You just
No,
put it in,
I
the-
just plugged it.
you plug in
yeah.
the numbers and it puts it out.
Sorry. And then it creates the numbers for us and tells us where we're gonna be.
Bet it wasn't interfaced like with Skyward or
I know.
something.
Yeah.
It'll just do that for you,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, or even a report that you could pull,
yeah.
you know, so then this is what drives the state revenue projection?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
When do you start on this, Brittany?
In a good year, these come out in April,
Okay.
and that's when we start, and it takes months.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then when's the date it has to be done? Is it still
28 days.
28
We have
days?
to be done today on the.
Yeah,
the
so
budget
I've also
piece
included
because of
that
the state.
Idaho state statute
Yep.
and that calendar of how everything has to flow for, I have to have, dates submitted to the county by April 30th.
Yep.
As to when the budget hearing is gonna be. So the second page of what you're looking at.
That's funny. I've read this 3
Yeah,
times
and then
this
they,
week.
yeah, there's a sample calendar
Good.
there of how
Yeah.
to work those.
Oh, you have a
dates.
sample calendar. Oh, very cool.
Um,
Because that's in the clerk's handbook too. I was looking, there's a sample calendar of.
so
that's
we
nice.
have to have this to the state by July 5th.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't have any wiggle room this year.
No,
And
Yeah, pretty much when we're
So-
here. it's-
Yeah.
yeah,
once you get through this-
so the
it's
other
pretty fast.
piece, and if this is not appropriate, I'll have to learn the hard way, but I reached out to ISBA and said, I'm a little bit concerned. We have to have this budget done. We haven't done any negotiations. And what they said to me was, you issue the contract as it is, and then you negotiate and adjust your budget accordingly. So my thought was a little bit relieving around that process wise, but also that we know we're going to have to amend our budget in association with when we get the appropriations under the Modernization Act, right?
That's where all those budget revisions.
Mhm. Yes,
And, I guess amendment's the wrong word. It's revision.
revisions, yes.
Okay, all right. And those would take place sooner rather than at the end of the fiscal year, correct?
The budget revisions can happen all throughout the year.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay, that's what I thought. Because we're doing budget revision. Budget
Yes, so
revisions
that's
on.
what you're also
Mhm.
gonna be looking at. So yeah, if you actually pull this up, I guess that's part of our work session too, is all the budget revisions that I've done for FY 24.
okay,
And so that shows you, so basically any additional revenue or grants that we get in, budget revision those into our budget. And then it gives you that running balance off to the side of the new totals.
And that's not hard copy, what you gave us. That
Oh, there's a
we
link,
don't hear.
yeah, there's a link right there, yep.
Actually, this isn't. So you want to go to the one further down. This is the one I would say that you repost.
I did it, I posted the one you sent me the last time too.
Yeah, it not,
So
so
is
if you
it
go
the
down to the one.
copy
that's
of budget
linked-
revision.
Yeah, so if you go down to the one that's linked in the agenda.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
I can
not,
change that.
not in the work
Yeah.
session?
No,
Oh,
that's not
okay.
the correct one. That was a working one.
Okay, down at the bottom, in the action item.
Yeah, so that's the final draft there. but-
Okay, number 3 there.
So you can see there, you've got your general fund revision, so those are. Donation, more local type donations or grants that come in, and then everything below other funds, those are. More specific type grants to specific funds, Carmen's Food Service, there's obviously numerous ones of those for the walk-in cooler this year, so. Every time that additional revenue comes in, that's how we track this, so.
So question for Cody in thinking about where we are short and the need for intervention specialty staff. Is there a pot out there that we could look at targeting?
We're using all of our pots for people already. Use that and then some.
Mhm, this last year.
Mhm.
I wonder if we could tie it to mental health services somehow and think about, like the, Lewis Clark Valley Foundation program. I don't know if they fund education. Just thinking about
And
our,
I can't remember.
thinking about our demographics and the substance abuse and poverty related issues and I wonder if there's a link that you could think about and seek dollars to help fund a level of an intervention staff role.
We open them up, you know, if you have any, send them my way.
Yeah, I wonder. I suppose, because you could tie it, right? You could tie it to a mental health
Would
piece
think so.
without, you know,
It's a multi-year type funding, you know, you want to hire people and then.
And then lose
go
them.
and hire them and we go.
Yeah. Yeah, we were lucky. We were able to shift people this year. We would have had to let a few people go, it sounds like.
your historic engagement at the superintendent and at the state level, are there discussions around the realities of the need for these services in
There-
our schools?
There's continuously discussion about it, but the honest part is that we've never seen any results from it. So it gets lost in the politics a lot of times, it feels like.
Yeah, nobody wants to pay for it.
You know,
Mhm,
everybody wants
right,
to talk about
right.
it.
They're always,
Everyone
yeah,
wants to pay for it.
exactly. Yep, 100%.
We've definitely got some decent grants though going, for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah.
It looks darn close. 1565.
565, yeah.
Oh, it's just a few hundred. Well, I think you've answered all my questions. I tried to learn.
Well, I'm going to say, appreciate you guys taking the time to come in and do that as well. That was it refreshed us as well for this. I mean, it was good. You guys asked a lot of questions, which a lot of them are the same. It's what you asked here. So yeah,
Transparent
good.
public.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Anybody else have any questions?
I don't think we do on budget. You guys?
So the computer I use every day has a clock right here in front of it, so I can,
550,
50.
oh, so we're
right on time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so we can. Get me to make a motion to adjourn.
I think that's all we need for this one, right? For the work session.
there nothing else for the work session?
Let me look.
Yep.
Nope,
I'll make a motion to adjourn the work session.
I'll second it.
Discussion, sorry. Yeah. And a vote,
Aye.
Aye.
all those in favor,
Oh,
all those in favor,
Aye.
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 aye. Okay, motion carried. I say all that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, Carmen has is the pizza, yep, join us for a bite to eat, refresh your bloodstream and your bellies.
It'll be a long night.
Are you gonna stay or are you blowing this
Yeah, so then it's the actual.
for a while anyway?
So the work session, I think, was just to answer.
Are we ready, Russell? Thank you. Okay. Madam Clerk, we call the meeting to order for the budget hearing
Okay, trustee Saint Germain,
here.
trustee Craig,
Here.
trustee Daniels,
Here,
trustee Kepke.
Here.
Okay, if you'll all just rise and join me to the flag salute. Tribute to our soldiers, past and present. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, can I get a motion to approve the agenda for the budget hearing?
Make a motion that we approve the agenda for the budget hearing as presented.
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Discussion.
Nope, that was earlier.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Okay, so we had a great conversation during our work session and now we're here for the hearing. So I assume we take a comment from the public at this time?
Conversation.
Yeah. Anybody have any thoughts or questions about the budget? They're on the, yeah,
Here
they're on
later.
the public comment, I think, right?
Good with the budget stuff, confused like the rest of us.
There's somebody else here. Did they just come for the free food? Good food, Carmen. Good.
I think they're at the next one too.
Okay, is there anyone online, Russell, for comment?
We got.
Any
Yeah.
questions about the budget, Derek? Well, I want to thank the team for working through all the process to get us here. I wish it was in the positive and we were putting money away instead of and adding things and building cool programs, but we'll get there. So,
And we've had a few good years. I mean, we really have.
oh,
This
last
is
year was a
Huge
huge
year. This is our first one.
pay increases and everything. So I just want to say thank you publicly. Thank you.
Agreed.
So if there's no comment, I guess, do we give people 5 minutes?
I like it.
Do have a much you
We
want.
get back ahead. We can get back ahead of schedule instead of being behind.
You can.
We're not
Yeah,
quite
but I'm
adjourning
just gonna
yet.
give just a few minutes in case somebody came online that,
Yeah, I think I'd leave it open until you're ready for your next one. I mean, it's a public hearing, so if somebody wants to show up at 6:20, they could still.
Oh.
Yeah,
Sounds good
because
Yeah.
there's no end time.
not until
6:30.
6:30, yeah,
For our next meeting,
Yep.
so.
yep.
So note to self, clerk, let's put a time. Can we do that? Can we put a time limit
On your public hearing, yeah,
on our hearings?
yeah, and we usually just do it from 6 to 6:30, I mean, like 30
Yeah.
minutes, and
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, because generally we don't have a lot of public and we've discussed it before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll go grab some.
There you go.
So my home is also my office. And before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up, then spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day.
Florida Valley Health announces another free health screening. Community health workers will be at Lifeline Food Bank at 2170 Front Drive, Orofino, Friday, June 21st from 11 to 1. A resource fair will also be available with staff from CDC Health, At-Risk Workforce Solutions, YWCA, Public Health, CHAZ, Department of Labor, and others. A great time to have your A1C checked and blood pressure taken. Don't miss it. Friday, June 21st at Lifeline Food Bank, Orofino.
Hi there, it's Corky with Westlaw Tires. I'd like to tell you something I love about our history. 70-some years ago, we set the standard for tire service with values that come from it. Treat your customers like family and earn their trust. Never sell anyone a thing they don't need. Put safety first and customers will follow. That's how we did business then. That's how we do it now. Westlaw Tires, doing the right thing since 19.
We will have the resource fair of Idaho Food Bank. This one here is in Orofino. It's at the Lifeline Food Bank, and it is Friday, June 21st.
What will be available at the resource fair, Leah?
Our community health workers will be doing screenings. We will be checking A1Cs for diabetes, blood pressure, BMI, body mass index, the mood score, which is a 2-question depression screening. We will be offering those screenings, and along with that, we will have local resources. The ones that coming to Orofino will be Mimi Food Health, Access Workforce Solutions, YWCA, Public Health, CHAZ, Department of Labor, and Community.
What will they be there for?
Some of them do screening, but mostly just being available for questions, looking on what they offer as far as resources and programs that they have.
Find more information and a full list of the resource fairs at smh-cbh.org. With this KLER Community Spotlight, I'm CJ Thompson.
Hello, everybody. Have a good night out there tonight. Stay dry. We got rain showers and thunderstorms. So early morning expected. Lows in the 30s and upper 40s. Tomorrow, a chance of rain morning. Off the thunderstorms for the afternoon. Highs will be in the 60s to lower 70s.
Come on, I'm ready to go those up 30 to this 40. Wednesday, sunny and clear, high 70 to lower 80, lows to 30 to lower 50.
Yep. Yeah.
Hey, Chris,
Yeah.
you'll have to close the.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, okay,
We
sorry.
just discussed that.
Oh,
Thank
sorry.
you.
We said she's gonna be a pro after 3 in a row tonight.
Yep. Yeah, I'm sure.
That's how you get your
That's
practice.
exactly right.
Start of the night when you have 3 meetings.
Or a little Christmas elf stamp after this. Carmen, do we know Christine's mailing address? Yes.
That's right, yeah. Exactly.
Whatever her and John be in bed, I guarantee it. Okay. So does she have to say it before we make a motion?
I should stop and knock on her door and wake her up.
I know.
Meeting's over.
Here's your card. Okay. I'll make a motion to adjourn the budget hearing as presented.
I'll second.
Are we good?
Good.
Discussion.
Well, we're
No, we're
ending-
adjourning.
Ending the hearing.
Yeah. Trying to be
Any
on for the next one.
Discussion.
Discussion.
Okay, second.
Vote.
Oh, we got the second. Okay. Motion, second, discussion.
Vote.
Okay, vote. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
I.
Motion
Okay,
carried.
motion carries.
Done.
We'll get there.
Now we got 1 minute, right, Russell? Look at that. 45 seconds. Yeah, I know.
I'll get it.
I'm just glad it's you and not me.
Get it. I actually found a cheat sheet, but it's like, this is not. Yeah.
Yeah, we do have.
Okay.
Okay, so now the next, yeah.
Do we have any amendments to the regular agenda?
I think so. I think we caught them quick and fixed them.
Okay, we'll call the regular school board meeting of June 17th, 2024 to order. Roll call
Trustee Saint Germain,
here.
trustee Craig.
Here.
Trustee Daniels,
Here.
trustee Kepke.
Here.
We received a written notice, clerk, you, of resignation from the Zone 3 trustee. So we officially need to declare that as a vacancy. So can I get a motion?
Point of order. We wouldn't do that down at the action items itself.
No, we have to do it here so that the vice chair
Can
can
be.
assume
Okay,
control of the proceedings.
makes sense.
I'll make a motion that we accept the Zone 3 trustees resignation from the joint 171 School District Board of Trustees.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
I.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Can we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Where are I'm not able to pull that up. It shows amendments. I don't see any amendments.
There are.
There are none. It's highlighted. It's not a link.
Okay. They struck out removed.
So that is just indicating that if we removed an item, we would strike through it. And if we amended anything, we would highlight it
Gotcha.
for
Okay,
future. Yeah,
Gotcha.
it's just a placeholder type.
That makes
That makes sense.
Ah, okay. Got it.
A key.
I'm glad you're keeping me honest.
Hmm.
Any more discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
I.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Yeah.
Can I get a motion to approve past minutes? We have May 20th, 2024 regular meeting, May 31st, 2024 special executive meeting, and June 4th, 2024 a special executive meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from May 20th, 2024 regular meeting, May 31st, 2024 special executive meeting, and June 4th, 2024 special executive meeting.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Okay, we have our consent agenda, which includes payment of bills and financial reports.
Make a motion that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, motion passed. Reports and recognitions. I have to say publicly that I always counted on Christine to do this. I want to make a, here it is, Cody. I want to make a shout out to Orofino Elementary School. It was mentioned in our special education director report in association with testing. The state used Orofino Elementary as an example and a site to review. And this is a quote from them that Cody shared. "We truly appreciate the opportunity to visit your school and learn from you during our review of district's assessments, policy, and protocols. Your school is a place of mutual respect between students and staff, and it is apparent that this is your well-practiced procedures. These well-practiced procedures contribute to a positive testing environment for all students." So I kind of butchered that quote, but congratulations, Orofino Elementary and staff.
Good job.
Very cool. Thanks for sharing that. And I've asked that we divide and conquer this so that we have a little bit more engagement.
Yep. And so my was Orofino Elementary also. And the other shout out was attendance. Finished the year 97%, pretty amazing. And just a shout out to all the teachers and admin for those last couple of weeks with K through 6th graders running around and keeping them entertained. So I know being a dad, my kid she was excited for summer, but she was enjoying that last week of school. So thank you.
I drew Orofino Junior Senior High School. Recognition and rewards to Luis Allen, Cheryl Jones, Lindsay McKinney, and Abigail Waller for putting on the awards banquet and graduation. I attended both. They really were done well. It was a fun environment. Shout out to Timberland's graduation as well. I was there. That was a fun environment as well. And then just a couple of other notes. On the ISATS data, 11th grade ELA scores were above the state average for juniors. 7% higher than the state level, and then 5% growth in math. Math and 7% growth in ELA for the year's 8th grade students. So again, congratulations to Becca and her team. And I know that the work never stops with these schools. They still got quite a bit to do over the next couple of months to get ready for next year. So just thank you all the administrators and the leadership team in this district for all your work and efforts. It doesn't go unnoticed. We probably don't say it enough, but appreciate everything you guys do.
Okay.
Kimberly?
Nothing special. They've got through the year. It was an awesome graduation.
Very good, very nice graduation at Timberline. It does look like they had some big success with their leadership showcase though. So, and looks like more involvement. So great job.
How many years is that
I
now?
wish that Leader in Me celebration was
Third
later.
year. Awesome. That's pretty cool to get through 3 years in a row of that.
Okay, so moving on to committee reports, policy, there were some flux,
Yeah.
it looks like.
Yeah, so those are the spring updates, and we haven't had the policy committee meeting, but we'll get through that and get that set up and move forward from there. So you guys, I'm sure you guys have those to look at, to preview. So if you have any questions, let us know on them.
Change, because it wasn't the normal.
Right,
sort
right.
of
So what you guys have is a
policy.
summary of it at this point. Yeah. Yeah.
2024 updates.
Yep.
That link,
Mhm.
okay.
Yep.
all right. So we'll have those maybe for action or reading,
Reading
Yep.
next.
complete reading next. And that, okay, all right. Okay, building reports, any questions?
No, great reports like normal.
Program reports.
I just love,
It looked like we are not as far behind in food bills, meal bills as we have been in the past. Is that, am I interpreting that correctly?
What do you mean by?
the people didn't pay their
The
bill.
amount we don't, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it
Did
looked
I
like it
even
was
put it
down.
on there? I didn't, it is not attached to this.
I read
Um,
that somewhere also.
We still have debt.
Yep.
And charges that we are collecting some. It's the same, the policy that you implemented is working because the junior high school charging numbers are coming down and they're not incurring more. So parents are trying to get caught up on those. It's our elementaries that are still incurring and adding to. So as this drops up here, this is coming up. So we don't see a big drop sometimes. We continue to collect through the summer. I bill monthly. So we're hoping that through the summer months will give parents a little bit of time to get caught up maybe and
Nice.
pay on those. And we'll continue to do that.
And I remember last month, the community of Peck really kind of rose to the challenge and got their bill paid down quite a bit.
They did pay a big chunk on
Yeah.
it.
That's where I saw that.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Mixing up
Mhm.
reports.
But you saw also the high school going down. That's what I seen too.
Mhm.
But
Yes.
like you said, it hopefully goes down enough to cover.
Mhm.
Like I said, we don't want to go any elementary kids, especially unfed. We've talked about that, but
Right.
if the high school is down enough, hopefully it'll offset.
So note to the public, we assume that, so please pay your child's food bill
Mhm.
if you can.
And or fill out the forms
Yes.
to get
Yeah,
free.
the free
absolutely.
Reduced lunch program is an awesome program.
Absolutely.
And with the National Verifier, it's not invasive either.
Right.
No,
It doesn't take much, so please help us, help you. Okay.
I was just gonna say on technology, that's pretty cool to be able to give out the
Yeah.
Chromebooks
Mhm.
after 4 years. Probably getting old anyways, but that's pretty cool how you guys do it. Make sure everything's bounces are paid, grades are up, and then to hand that out when they leave. So that's a great program. How long we been doing that, Russell? Okay,
Let's see,
awesome.
just say
Great for those kids to have something if they can't afford something to go to college with, or they're out in the workplace. So
And incentivize them taking care of them too, right?
Yeah, it does. We changed the program where we actually assign a Chromebook when they're freshmen, a brand new Chromebook, and it stays with them.
Right.
And we have since pushed that down. We started grade 3 at the school.
Okay.
So 3, 4, 5, 6 follows the student.
nice.
And we started in grade 4 at Timberline, so it goes 4 through 8. So we're trying to extend it a little bit. We're
Yep.
pushing out to 5 years there. And then again, do it 9. They graduate. Standing. They have to fill out a form.
Yep.
Some of them won't bother with that.
That's yeah, exactly. That's step one of putting in for a job, right? You got to fill out a form.
On them, yeah.
So do they get to keep the Chromebook throughout the summer too, or do they get turned back into the school to be held till school starts? Okay.
Yep. Only the seniors get them. So that's pretty cool. But everybody else turns them back in.
And they're released to them. We relinquish the management. It's just like a personal Chromebook.
Yeah.
So if they're going on to school, it's a tool that they can take and use. These, in the past, the Chromebooks are pretty close to end of updates.
But on this one, I think they have, 3 more years that they'll update.
Nice.
Something like that, because they've extended the update period. The Chromebooks now have updates for 10 years.
Oh, nice.
And then a couple of years ago, we were able to sell a bunch of the old ones off too, just to get a little cash coming in.
Yeah, we keep selling those off and that helped us, what we had out when we had COVID
Yep.
was huge, because what we had sold out. We sold those for $25 or $50, depending on the model.
Yep.
And that had devices in homes all over.
Right.
So, yeah, I just, if we can give that back to the community, I mean, they're the ones that paid for it to begin with, if we can get it back out to them in a reasonable fashion, it's useful. It's pretty good.
Yeah, no, I loved reading about that.
When I looked at the agenda, I didn't see a link for transportation. Okay.
Still not there.
So I asked Cody before the meeting if he would go over the testing results summary with us.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I figured we were really all still new enough and we don't see it a lot, so that'd be great.
Well, I tried to be real comprehensive in my report, but I'd be happy to walk through things with you guys if you have questions, specific questions. I can run through an example like of the ISAT math results.
Okay.
The performance levels are there. The descriptors of what each level means.
Are we seeing a trend upward or downward in any specific areas?
I have not analyzed the data for trends and all that.
That's where I was having a hard time, because you see it really good per class, each year where they're at, but yeah, how do you, there's a lot here.
Right. This is district-wide results
Okay,
too, and
yeah.
each building will have their own
Yep.
take on it. But if you guys wanted last year's compared to this year's, we could do things like that for you.
That'd be pretty cool,
I think
especially as a,
it'd be great if we talked about even looking at cohorts
Mhm.
and analyzing the cohort trends. So if we could pick one and test the process and see.
Yep.
Where the OHS kind of rocked it in math, do we maybe want to take a look at that cohort and go back and
So that's the data that's online, so they didn't use state averages, so I did them as a cohort, compared what they did from 6th grade to 7th grade, and overall they grew 5% as a cohort.
okay,
So that's each individual building, I think if you guys look at the color coding that we did.
Yep.
We did that trend data on our reports.
oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
So if you want to dig into some of those, that's.
okay, so Cody's was all district where those.
That's
are
right.
got- Yep.
He would do big picture, we would do,
Nice, okay, that makes more sense now.
Okay, I missed that the individuals were cohorts.
some of them were like, usually when I found an area that we didn't grow at the state level, I went, I'd see how we did in a cohort level, to see if there was growth. If there wasn't, then I tried to use it as an area that was a decrease in growth.
Makes sense.
Okay, I'm
I
gonna
like it.
those again then. Cool, okay.
Simple explanation is we want the kids in the green and blue area,
Mhm.
and we really don't want them in the red and the orange.
Right, yeah. And are there, not getting into the minutia of what you do, but are there things that we can help influence, allocate? I mean, we just allocated some resources, or not yet, we plan to allocate resources to help with those red to yellow transition and the yellow to blue transition.
I think there's a lot of moving pieces that we're doing. Our biggest work right now is in the professional learning communities. And if we get all that together, I think that will be the biggest impact on student scores. But it's not going to happen overnight either.
Right.
It's good work, but it's a long-term work.
Yeah.
So it's the right work.
Cool. So I wonder, is it appropriate to say, ask for a summary of what you learned? So that we can have that conversation next month about what did you learn and how do we best support that?
Yeah, we start talking.
Oh, that'd be great.
Hey, I am on the right page here. Let's go.
Yep.
Okay, well. Maybe one. Okay, all right, cool. So Carmen, could you make a note of that for next meeting? We'll have a conversation about the professional learning committee conference.
Sweet.
And do we want to take a deep dive individually and have a conversation about the cohort stuff next month as well?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
That way it gives us time to do more of our homework now that we know what it is. Maybe I'm the only one that didn't know.
Some of us may be here and some of us may not. I don't know if kids are gonna be here during that time or not, but
That's okay, as long as we have the docs, because I was confused that all yours rolled into Cody's. I thought it was different data.
yeah.
So that's good to know. Same data, just presented differently. Okay, awesome.
Yeah, I knew, I knew it rolled up, but I didn't know you had done cohorts. So
Yeah.
That's different. That's cool.
Absolutely.
We've talked about that. Okay. So red flag areas, district-wide, Cody?
Like I said, I haven't analyzed it completely and it's not my role individually to analyze it. We'll analyze it as a district level, with the principals. We'll start analyzing that data and come together and try to figure out where our low areas are, but
I was surprised to see, and I think I remember the conversation before about how the scores tend to go like this in 11th grade.
yeah.
I think I was surprised
Consistently.
we were consistently up versus down. I mean, across the board. The
Yeah.
reporting, which was pretty cool to see. I've heard for years how we're a poor district and our grades are down, but that's not what the numbers are saying. So obviously our teachers and staff's doing very well.
This is,
So in thinking about that, do we celebrate that publicly without getting, I mean, we have to be sensitive over the number of students, but do we celebrate that somehow publicly on I noticed on the webpage, we have a, like grades or, performance. Is that, I didn't see that was updated or.
Like we were talking about trying to
achievement.
get more homeschool kids to understand that we do have very good teachers and we do have very good scores, because sometimes that's not what's been discussed out in the community. So
Because butts and seats count, right?
Absolutely.
Come to school, so, I mean, maybe that's something we could think about is around marketing, proactive, positive story sharing and how, with what tools we have. Okay. Thank you.
yeah, no problem.
Anybody else have any?
I'd like to add just one more thing
Yeah.
before I leave. This is one snapshot of data, right? One kid taking one test in one day. So while we look at this, it's just part of what we look at, this is not the end all, the be all, you got all those teachers working with kids every day. They're taking snapshots every day of them. We've got our own district assessments, MAPS test, STAR test. We're looking at that and we're using all those different tools in conjunction with one another and not just the single ISAT summative test. So.
yeah, and I guess that's where I was going. So I think you were too, is how do we get something like that then every year we can go back and see, I mean, it might only be 1% up or down, but as a whole, we know there's some grades that struggle. We've all been a part of those grades, right? But how do we see as a whole that, hey, our math's continually going up? It might only be 1%, but as a district overall, we've went up 1%,
Yeah.
I don't know how to pull all those numbers in one spot. I think you've been talking about that for a couple of years.
You just have to pick a measurement tool and go with it, with the continuous improvement planning or whatever. If you pick ISAP math, you can compare that to year to year.
Yeah,
Or if you want to use MAPS test, you can use MAPS test, but
for sure.
you have to pick a tool.
So the continuous improvement plan, that's July?
Yes, it's due. It's actually due, I believe, September
But we talked about it in
15th,
July.
something like that.
We
Yeah.
start talking
Yeah.
about it in July.
Yeah, I believe it's in September, mid-September is when it's due, but yeah, we try to get it done August.
August.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So, yeah, so maybe we can sit down and talk about what makes sense as that tool and to take a deep dive into that continuous improvement plan. I know in the past, what we've done is the recommendations come from you guys, right? And we implement those, so. But it might be interesting to have a work session around that where we take a deep dive.
Mhm.
Yep, you have lots of data.
Yeah,
Yeah, what's the most effective, streamlined and energy efficient way
Right,
to
yep.
utilize that
yeah.
data?
What data is easy for you guys to pull out and be consistent with, I guess?
Yeah.
That's a big question. Not more work.
And also I think what data, one of the things I learned at the governance conference workshop that I attended is that what is the presentation of data that we could get include in that monthly update so that we could start to build some trends and look at how we're performing as a district across the board, and how we can then be informed about do we need to shift? So when you come to us and say we need to shift resources, right? We understand and have a little bit more depth understanding of that. Is that fair?
Yep.
Cool.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Maintenance, there wasn't anything from Roy. But the facility plan, he's working on that.
Oh,
yep.
And Michael, do you have to share with?
Well, I think that maintenance piece you were looking at, that is due, there's several pieces to that and it's ongoing training. So we don't have all those answers yet. It's, we're getting bits and pieces together, but primarily what's going to have to happen, Roy is getting ready to do an assessment for each facility, student occupied facility, paper wise. And then there's a program that we still haven't got access yet that we're going to push all that information basically into it. And then from there, we build this facilities plan. So kind of timelines for that, I believe it's, if I remember right, that was due July 31st was when the paper piece, and then we had to have it approved in August is whenever the facilities plan will have to be
And
approved.
when did we have to make a decision on money?
Um, so they sent out a survey last week and it gave us opportunity to say, you know, one lump sum or over 10-year period. And then now they've added a new one that says you can take a piece of it and then one lump sum.
Oh, so
So
changed
that,
it
yeah,
last
so,
meeting.
so that's the option that I went ahead and checked off because it gives us a lot more. You can
Yeah.
all go ahead and take it in one, but
Yeah.
you can take like 1 year and then get 9 year in a lump sum,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Yep.
So the advantages and disadvantages, I'm not really sure yet, but it looks like the first year, no matter which way you take it, you're only going to get your 1/10 of it your first year. And then after that, because of the way the bonding works and all that. So it sounds like, there's not a lot of other options on that. So that's something we can discuss a little bit later. We haven't committed to it. That's just what we said we would look at.
And we haven't got a final dollar amount on that yet
We
either,
have-
correct?
Correct.
'Cause
We've
that's
had
not
those
gonna be till
preliminary.
the latter part of August.
They told us they would let us know in August would be our numbers. Yep, unless you've heard something different from, I haven't seen anything this week or today, so.
Okay, just making
Yeah.
sure that was still
Yep,
we've
and
talked about that.
yep, and we talked about the preliminary estimates, but we really don't know, I mean, honestly don't know,
Right.
so.
So
Yep.
stand by till August
Yep,
still.
yep,
Okay.
still working on it.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, moving on to discussion items. Carmen, you want some more money, honey?
Well, this
Shouldn't
is
have a
a
choice. Yeah.
requirement
Yeah.
of USDA is that we need to increase lunch prices, and it is calculated off a formula they put together for what the reimbursement rate is, how much commodities, adult meals have to be taxed, and so all of that comes into play. We have to, if we are operating in the black, then we have a waiver, you would not have to increase. But if you're operating in the red, you're required to increase. You have to a minimum of 10 cents. You can go higher if you want, but that's the minimum. So this is always a little touchy because if you raise too high, families won't be able to afford it, especially if they have more than one student. But yet, are we raising enough to cover the cost of food? Probably
Right.
not,
Yeah.
where the food is right now. So it did increase 10 cents for elementary and I think 15 for the
Yeah,
high
15
school.
For high school.
The adults will go to around $5 because they tell us the minimum we are to charge adults is $4.95.
Okay. So
We
went-
cannot charge
yeah,
any
we went
less.
30
to
cents on that.
lease
So.
our- Kitchen staff doesn't like when I do nickels. They
Yeah.
want solid quarters.
agree.
It's easier to count money. So anyway, we had to increase at that, and it's not something like, say, the district usually chooses. It's something that's mandated.
So, when I read that about the adults, that's, our teaching staff,
Employees,
That's a pretty
yes.
good deal.
employees?
Yep.
Actually, anybody who comes here and
Yeah.
eats,
Yep.
they get charged $5.
Yep.
I mean, that's pretty
So
cheap
I
to
was
get a
gonna
whole
say-
meal for $5.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna cost you $13 to go out to lunch someplace else.
At least.
You might be able
A
to
lot
get
more
by
now.
with
Yeah.
something at the deli for, you know,
Mhm.
About
$10,
the,
so why not more?
We could. I mean, there's just certain buildings. Timberline's pretty good about participating. They're adults.
Yeah.
The Orofino schools, not so much. Elementaries are higher participation teacher wise than the high schools. And, you know, they're so wrapped up in their children and getting them into the cafeteria and bringing them in by lines. It's easier for them to grab something.
They're there.
Mhm.
Any thoughts?
I think I'd round those other numbers up just because of accounting purposes, 335. Oh, the time you're gonna waste on that extra 10 or 15 cents if you went 350, but
Well, it's when the parent calls who has 3 children and
Right.
each
Yeah.
day they're,
I-
you know, it adds up quickly.
yeah, it was nice that it was 325 and 350, but
Yeah.
now we're in these weird numbers again.
Yep.
Um,
Adult and second reference.
But I hate to, I mean, you know, the kid prices, I can see where we want to keep
Yeah.
them as low as possible, but is there a reason why we wouldn't consider asking more from the adults, considering that we run in the hole?
Well, there's not that many of them that eat, so it's not going to get us out of the hole. But it just
Not a
the
cash cow,
adults.
so to
No,
speak.
no, it's not. And you know, it is a service, you know, for teaching staff and stuff like that. You know,
I
if they're running late, they don't have time to pack their lunch. They can come through and they meet, you know, with the children.
More of a convenience thing.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Is $5 covering, it's obviously covering
Yeah, cost of foods.
cost of foods and stuff.
Mhm. Because we can use our USDA foods for their
Okay.
meals. So, you know, if it's what they used to call brown box, you know, if it comes in a box that got 6 big cans, we pay out of pocket $4.10 for that case.
Okay.
You know, they use commodity dollars for the rest. So, you know, things like that, as long as we utilize the USDA foods, we can keep the cost down on them.
Oh, okay.
So you're good with
And
5 and 3,
Mm-hmm,
and then 335 and 365.
mm-hmm.
Was the material one in the group?
Okay, and, so anything else on the child nutrition fee increase?
No. Did we increase, when's the last time we increased? Do you remember?
2 years ago.
Okay, so yeah,
It
we're,
was 2 years ago. Because last year we showed that we had a balance
Mhm.
because COVID paid really well.
Right.
Yeah.
So that ended last year, so.
okay.
Yeah.
That's still pretty good price for food.
Oh, yeah. Now I know where to come for lunch, you know. Okay. Any additional conversation around the budget?
No. I just can't believe we gotta wait till August to figure out some
Maintenance stuff.
funding.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, we gotta do as much as we can through the summer while the
Mhm.
kids are out.
Yep, yep. And approve a budget.
Yeah.
Take a guesstimate of what we're getting. So, yeah, it's not been very easy this year.
Brittany reviewed the budget revisions with us. Are there any further questions on those?
Well, now that I'm on the right dock, I was wondering what the stuff off the side there.
Yeah, yeah.
Figured that was,
Most of the working
I
stuff.
figured that was a working
Yeah.
dock.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it looked like something I would do. Not super clean. Is there any of these big grants that we have a feeling are going away? I mean, the 150,000, the 520, some of those ones.
What was those on?
Yeah, there's the
Oh, the
Idaho Career Ready Students Grant. That's the biggest one we got.
Stronger
That's
connection,
the-
right?
The forest industry at
Okay.
Mhm.
Orofino and the welding at Timberline.
Okay, so those ones, those were new, so that's why they're so big. They got
And-
purpose.
And those come with a responsibility to build, make
Yep.
those facility improvements.
Yes.
What about the Stronger Connections grant? That's $150,000.
That's.
Oh, it is. Okay, okay.
Forgot that's what it was called.
Yeah.
And is that included as a revenue item for this year as well? I know that was settling up for last year.
We know what carryover is, and that budget revision comes in as a carryover, so yes, we have that for 2 years.
Nice.
So once we finish all the paid for this fiscal year, and then with that balances.
Okay.
And then the
And
other,
that's the one that we talked about where you had to adjust the benefits for on your billing? Was that grant? Okay, okay, thank you.
yeah, that's real money this
Mhm.
year, 1.5.
Mhm.
And lots of flexibility.
Yes.
Mm.
That was my only questions.
The signatory, can you remind me?
I can kind of go through this. So as you do this, this is a result of the resignation of the trustee. Because Christine was a signatory. So we need to have a signatory on, so yeah, somebody that's on the board currently for paychecks and all that. So if we can duly note that, Christine is currently on the bills you're approving currently, because we had to print those bills to bring them to you guys so you can approve them. So her signature is still on there. When you approve the bills, it's going to have her signature as one of the signatures. But if you guys could make that mention to make sure we have a good trail on that, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Since she's no longer here, but making sure that that's it. And then elect somebody to do that. And then there's a process for that, whoever you decide to do. We have to have a board member. Do we have to do, yeah, go ahead.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
That's just with the pay cycle.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Just kind of gotten in between there is what happened. Yeah. Yep.
Shouldn't accept her notice till the 28th.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
He's
Okay,
still
so
not
we'll
on.
have
so I can
two
say
motions. We'll have a motion in action to approve, and then we'll have another motion to assign somebody else.
Yes. You can just roll it all into one. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Just do them in one. You know, they'll cover it all.
So, question about that.
Mhm.
Is it a, electronic signature?
I have the forms, it's a sign it.
Okay, is there any reason why, you would want the signatory to be close in case something popped up? Okay, so could.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. All right. Negotiations.
Yeah.
So a little bit of background, at our last meeting up at the Youth Challenge Academy, we inadvertently, assigned a negotiations team with a full quorum of the board.
Mhm.
And, I don't know whether it was the Youth Academy hoorah, what
Yeah.
got to us, but, hindsight is 2020, and we realized that having a quorum in part of the negotiations was probably not a very wise deal.
Right.
I reached out to each of the board members and also to the administrators. And I believe that we have a revision to that motion as long as you're still willing. Still willing? Okay, all right, so we believe that we have a team there, so that will be the action associated with that.
Nice.
Okay, so quickly, we need to have an executive session. Can I get a motion?
Make a motion, for executive session per Idaho Code 74-206 1A and B.
Second,
I'll second that.
any discussion? And a roll call.
Trustee Saint Germain,
Yes.
trustee Craig,
Yes.
trustee Daniels,
Yes.
trustee Kepke.
Yes.
We'll be back.
If she tried to do anything. Yeah.
Okay, we returned from executive session and we do have an action item.
Oh, we're gonna make, coming out of executive, we're gonna make a motion to get out, right?
Oh, that's right. We motioned to get
Yeah.
out.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to exit executive session.
I'll second.
Yep.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Sorry. Roll call.
That's what I thought.
Trustee Saint Germain.
Yes.
Trustee Craig.
Yes.
Trustee Daniels.
Yes.
Trustee Kepke.
Yes.
Now we have
No, we're
an
good.
action item from executive session.
Two.
We could get a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the separation agreement as presented to the board in executive session for employee A.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
And I'd also like to make a motion that we accept the resignation from employee A effective June 30th, 2024.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. And we need a motion for the signature.
You have public comment next.
Yes.
Public comment?
Yes.
Okay,
We get a break for a minute.
we do. Welcome.
Don't forget to turn it on
Mic
with the
on.
button.
Hi, I'm Michelle and I'm a mom of children that go to Peck Elementary School. So I'm here to say, hi, we're from Peck still, we're still here. We're still gonna come and talk to you guys often. So some concerns and questions and clarification. We really appreciate that people are coming out. The board is taking notice. The board is answering our questions. However, with what we've heard from, the funding, we're wondering, this probably isn't gonna happen this year, not looking likely for next year either. Any of these things that are concerns. So as the community, we'd like to know how much can we do ourselves? What are our limitations? Especially the part about the electrical where it says that it's illegal as is. That concerns us as parents of students that go there. Other questions from those in the community was who or what decides the order of precedence on facility repairs? And also how old is Peck Elementary? We can't seem to find anything on that information. But I guess mostly we just want to let you know that the community wants to step up. We just need to know how our hands are tied or what we can do to continue with the upkeep of Peck. Not this last summer, but the last 2 summers before that, the community had volunteers that went in and did all the painting and fixing up and repairs of the school. And so the school didn't have to pay for any of that. And last year they painted baseboards, which we appreciate, but I'm just trying to show that how much the community of Peck enjoys getting involved in the school and supporting it and stuff like that. So with that, I know you can't respond, but there's our questions and our concerns, and we just want to know if we can do some stuff while the kids are out of the school for the summer and what we can do. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have contact
you.
information so we can communicate that?
Like to have it. if
Yes, we
can.
do.
Okay, all right, we
Awesome.
have your contact information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just the one?
Okay, no other public comment? There was nothing
No,
I thought.
you
no?
can't.
Okay.
They decided that.
Okay, we have a number of action items to consider. The child nutrition and lunch breakfast, proposed increase.
Make a motion that the child nutrition lunch breakfast increase is approved as presented.
I'll second that.
Any discussion about that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passed. The 2024-25 school year budget as proposed.
I'll make a motion that we accept the fiscal year 24-25 budget as presented and discussed today.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Just want to make note, I'm really concerned that we're not going to get information from our budget until August.
I know we have to react really
We're
fast.
waiting on legislators, but um, we'll make it happen.
Yeah, and that hopefully we can come up with thoughtful and innovative ways as we think about negotiations and the facility plan and other things, because we know it's going to be revised, so.
Yep.
Do you need a vote?
Yep. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. The 2023-24 budget revisions as proposed.
I will make a motion that we accept the fiscal year 23-24 revisions as presented.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Signatory.
Try that.
So you there?
Well,
My notes.
so, yeah,
Hmm.
I'll make a motion to approve the payroll and bills with Christine Earp's signature on it, and approve Chris St. Germain as the new signator.
I'll second.
We gotta go to the date of the 28th, right?
When we get
Effective,
discussion, the motion's been.
Okay,
put on the
okay.
floor. And
So we have a
seconded.
motion.
And
I'll
We have
second.
a
Yep.
second
Okay.
discussion.
Go ahead, Jesse.
I was just gonna say, we gotta go the 28th for the current
June.
June,
Does
June
that work?
28th,
June
and then you would take over on June 29th. So I don't know if we needed to put that in there or not.
We
or-
can revise that, your motion.
Do you want, I'll revise my motion to approve the payroll bills with Christine Earp's signature through June 28th payroll. And then approve Chris St. Germain as the new signator.
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right,
Motion pass. Okay, the negotiations team. I can't make a motion, can I?
Nope,
mm-mm.
not today.
We'll find someone else.
I'll make a motion
You're doing so good.
that our negotiation team consists of myself, Chris St. Germain, Jason, right?
All three of them.
Oh, and all of our administrators from Orofino Junior High, high school, Orofino Elementary, and Timberline.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Thanks for doing it.
That means I'm off.
Thanks for
right?
getting us out of the quorum. We almost messed that one up.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, we have a list of new hires and separations. Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the new hire and separations as presented.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Just excited, even though they're part-time, getting some counselors back at OES. Yeah, excited that you guys were able to shift people around, even though you didn't have a lot of choices, but you made do of what you were handed.
Halftime we're here this year,
Okay,
and the amount of work and the impact they have in the small capacity that they're here is amazing.
awesome.
Nice.
And then the high school getting a counselor or similar position again. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And sports are still off your plate, hopefully, potentially. Sounds great.
That was last month, right? Yeah, okay. No, I don't-
I'm just making sure you know how it is moving to Clearwater County. Sometimes it's hard to find houses and things.
Yeah, so,
Yes, glad to hear.
okay,
Yeah, vote.
and a vote,
Aye.
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 motion passes. And board member input for future agenda items.
Yeah, you added one. What was it?
Conversation about professional learning.
And we need election of officers.
The officers,
Board officers.
We'll do that next month.
yep.
Okay.
And then hopefully Roy has a drafted facility plan for us at that time. Can reach out to him and ask.
Do we know who's gonna be here next month? Some of you guys are gone. You're here. Will you know Roy's schedule? Okay,
Yeah,
So
I would
assume
imagine he's
he'd be
busy
here.
with the projects that
Yeah.
have to be done, yeah. But I think what we heard was that facility plan had to be done by the end of July, so we should probably have a draft.
Yeah.
I would just email him.
Right,
request it.
yeah. Mhm, yeah.
okay, perfect.
And then who knows what else we're gonna learn in the interim that may pop up for agenda items, so I'll work with the clerk on that.
Awesome.
Okay, a motion to adjourn unless there's something else.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor, discussion,
Done.
those in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you for your patience.
Yes, thanks so much. Thanks for coming back out there.
That one's pretty fast. It's only 8 o'clock.
Yeah, but